Top 5 coaches whose honeymoon is over. Tomorrow will be top 5 divorces. So this is like the pre-phase. And then Friday will be something uplifting. We haven't decided yet. The committee hasn't gotten together on that. Emery's supposed to be he's my emissary of happy news. So we'll have to work with that.
So when do you come back from your honeymoon and all that?
I'll be back on the 20th.
He's on the air Monday the 20, whatever that Monday is.
I'm just wondering when we're going to start like the pregnancy-related top 5s, or the baby top 5s, and all that.
I was mad enough at you yesterday. Now these are fighting words. No, we're gonna do this one step at a time.
Have you guys thought about that? Seriously, is that even?
Yeah, look. I have to talk about it. I mean, again,
they're getting engaged. You'd hope so.
It's not your decision, but yet it is.
It's not like I'm 50% of it, but I'm really not. So
Oh no, you're not having them without you.
Yeah, I know. But again,
all right.
My
top 5 babies in college football.
My part is the simplest of the whole thing. Yeah. Really,
not true.
I mean, that's
You cannot have a match. You cannot have a fire unless you have a strike a match or something like that.
Also, the easiest part of starting the fire.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can we please, God, move on
okay.
for your sake?
Yeah. Top 5 coaches whose honeymoon is over. Number 5, Justin Wilcox at Cal. They've got academic department debt and all this stuff, and I don't know how much, but they need some excitement and things to go on with their program. I don't know what the future is here, but he's in the tier of that program has become so blah, and I don't know if it's totally his fault or the athletic direction of the university or whatever, but Cal is just in the category right now, and they've had a good history in the past, but really they need some juice, especially when you look at the 2 schools that are leaving, USC and UCLA, getting some juice. Stanford doesn't have any. They just hired a new coach. So maybe Cal's the next one, but I think it's certainly over for Justin Wilcox at Berkeley.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I know that people can respond with School A. They can say it about Baylor since we cover them mostly, or whoever. But man, if Cal wasn't brought up on occasion, I would probably never think about them in any way.
No, I was going to say that, Craig. It's nothing against them because they've got some hellacious players that have played in the pros, including Aaron Rodgers, Marshawn Lynch, etc. But I sometimes they're lost in the show.
Yeah, they're just kind of there, and they're like, oh yeah, Cal. Oh, that's right. And Sonny Dykes had a fine run there, and obviously, he's got a pretty good thing going on at TCU. And yeah, since then, Wilcox has had, and SMU as well, in between, obviously, up until last year at TCU. But yeah, Wilcox has been around for a while now. They've made, 2 bowl games in that span out of his 6 years at the helm now. And won one of those, which was the Red Box Bowl back in 2019. But yeah, they've got a total of 9 wins the last 3 years. I know there's COVID in that as well. But yeah, they're just kind of there. They're listless, and there's just, a total lack of juice right now and a lack of success to build off of. So yeah, I definitely could see where they're kind of at a crossroads soon.
Joe Kapp, the former Vikings, that passed away recently.
But it's also one of those schools, unfortunately, you could say other schools don't get, I forgot about them or I forgot about it. But the other part of the Cal equation is how much do they even care? You know what I mean? At least with some others, you're I know that they care and they want, and with them though, there's always that question of how much do they even care?
I got to get somebody. Wilner covers the Pac-12, does a really good job with it. But I don't know if I've ever been able to get anybody who covers Cal football on the show.
I think that's the problem with the 2 Bay Area schools is that there is really no enthusiasm for football there right now.
And look, man, if you want to say, well, we're too busy with multi-million, that's fine. But comment purely on the sports side of it. It's it's fine to wonder how much they really give what most of the time based on just kind of how it plays out some of the way.
Redbox, still a thing. You have a DVD player? Why not? Number 4, Dino Babers. This was I would not have put him on this list in the middle of last year because they started out like a house on fire and got bowl eligible. But then Syracuse had the unfortunate situation that their schedule was so backloaded with all the tough teams they played that they finished on such a downturn. The great column in The Athletic the other day about Syracuse and, when they had McNabb and Marvin Harrison and, Paul Pasqualoni was there. They were on the cutting edge, and they're just not that now. And Dino Babers has had these brief flashes, but he's got to make a move towards consistency. And the beginning of last year was good news. The end of last year was bad news. And I think he ended right where he started after last year, which he almost came through the fire, but then, they left a room. They forgot about a room that was still smoldering.
Yeah, I mean, they like you said, they got started off, pretty well, and now of all the times, trying to get that 2022 to make sure that I remain accurate on here. But yeah, I mean, came out of the gates with, 5-0, then lost to Clemson, and went on a bad losing streak, and then, lost the bowl game there at the end. But yeah, I mean, thankfully for them, they got off to a pretty nice start. They were good at home, but were mid in the actual conference play. And just kind of sputtered to the finish line, if anything. But yeah, Dino's, he's a good coach, but I don't know how good he is. You know what I mean? Like he's obviously, he knows what he's doing. But I feel like he's kind of had some time there at Syracuse now at this point. So if they were looking to, spice things up, you certainly wouldn't be shocked by that.
Number 3, and this is in the dumb phase of this, but based on what you hear from Ohio State fans, because he's lost to Michigan twice in a row, Ryan Day, they're mad at Ryan Day. They're mad that Ryan Day's name comes up in NFL searches. They're mad about his beard, all these things, because he didn't beat Michigan twice, and that's about to be way less relevant because of the 12-team playoff. Because
no, it's not. Absolutely disagree with you.
Well, relevant in the grand scheme of making the playoff.
But losing to Michigan is never acceptable, even if you're in the playoff. I know what you meant, but I just want to make sure we clarify
I do think
that.
They need to give him a little bit more of a bubble to ride the wave out. Now, look, if he goes 0-4 against Michigan in the first 4 years, then that's probably a thing that they need to
So he's never beaten Michigan?
No, he's 0-2.
All right, but if he goes 0-3, there may not be a need for 0-4. I mean,
and I get it.
Yeah.
But look, he is one of the best recruiters in the country. He's killing it with wide receivers and quarterbacks and running backs and all of that. Their defense, yes, needs to get better. It has slipped off since Urban Meyer left the program. But the bottom line is this is a guy who would have another job, and maybe another job is better for him in a heartbeat if he left Ohio State.
I got to go back to Syracuse. I talk about accuracy, and then I missed the count by one. They were 6-0 and finished 7-6.
Yeah.
They were 6-0 and finished 7-6. I thought it was 5-0 when they started, but yeah, 6-0. They went 1-6 down the stretch, including losing the bowl game. They've had 2 winning seasons since he's been there, including last year.
I would have thought they'd been in 3 or 4, but that's interesting. Kind of has a Philip Montgomery,
Tulsa kind of thing,
shade
where
to
you've
it,
been around a while, and it's just kind of. Anyways, Ryan, this is like just a whole nother level of like crazy that I kind of find hard to comprehend because he's an excellent coach. I understand there's things here and there that Ohio State fans don't like or wish was better and all of that, but only at places like Ohio State would they, and I don't know about like, you know how it is in college towns where like then you know more about these guys or you hear more about these guys and all of that, and you hear like maybe like. You hear about like Mike Leach, like maybe he drinks a little bit too much, or maybe that like there's little things here and there that just like rumor mill, small town stuff. I don't know if there's anything like that with Ryan Day. Is my point. So just on the surface, from somebody as an outsider looking at all of their success and the fact that okay, you've lost to Michigan now and they're having success, it still just boggles my mind that there seems to be like a pretty significant portion of fans who are like nearing the fed up level, if not there already. And just knowing that there's 125 programs out there, or whatever the actual number would be, that would trade in 2 seconds for a Ryan Day. Probably less than that, but still, yeah, it's kind of crazy.
The only guy doing better with quarterbacks right now is Lincoln Riley.
Right.
And so that's something to look at if you're an Ohio State fan. Number 2.
Out of the 131 teams in college football, how many?
Way less than 120, whatever I said, yeah.
How many, if he got fired today, how many of them would want him tomorrow? 115 of them? Like, how many schools are like not going to Alabama, not going to USC, Texas? They got to see how Sarkisian works out. Maybe 90,
like 100 of them probably would. Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably like a good 15, 20 coaches that are pretty good in their spots right now that you wouldn't need that. You wouldn't need to do that or want to do that necessarily. But, yeah, probably like 100 schools that would say, yeah, sure, we'll take a Ryan Day. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like Arkansas tomorrow. I mean, like they might like Sam Pittman a lot, but Ryan Day's kind of a different level, you know?
Yep.
And maybe more than that, and maybe less than that because, okay, TCU wouldn't need him.
Yeah.
I think Baylor would want him right now with Aranda. Texas Tech doesn't want him because of Joey McGuire. So you could go down and climb in at K-State. Like, they don't want him. Leipold to Kansas. So maybe it's actually far less, but, yeah, he would be desirable, to say the least.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Number 2, Neal Brown.
Oh, Paxton has Neal Brown among his top 2.
Yeah, Neal Brown, number 2. And it's just never clicked for him there. And I know that Ren Baker doesn't want to have to fire a head coach. It's a really difficult thing to have to do no matter what. But he's the new athletic director, and his success is determined by how successful the programs are. And keeping a guy you didn't hire is never a thing that really happens if they're not winning. And so Neal Brown needs to make waves this year, and it's going to be tough because a schedule that Neal Brown didn't make stares him in the face right now. That's pretty tough, especially early on.
Yeah, the non-conference, right? That's the one we hear about quite a bit. And the chat room they're still kind of fired up about Ryan Day. And I just said, listen, if they don't beat Michigan, it doesn't matter what he does the rest of the way. But no, Neal Brown, he would have been on this last year. If you would have done this last year,
yeah, he would. Yeah. He might have been a little further down,
yeah.
maybe further down the list, but he would have, because it just, especially we hear from a ton of West Virginia fans that watch our show, and it's all about, like, most of them like want him to do well. It's not like they dislike him. I mean, there's coaches that, you know, fans have just turned on because they don't like them at all, like Scott Satterfield at Louisville. Yeah. It's not that kind of situation. It's just the results are there, and I don't think they can see a way through.
Yeah, I think they feel like they've kind of seen, like, you give guys time to grow and, you know, evolve and all of that, but they've kind of given them that time now. And so there's a feeling of like, where are the results? Like, where are the actual results? And then you look at their schedule and you go, where is the bowl possibility in this thing for this year? If they're anywhere close to the team they were last year. Now, if they're significantly better and, you know, Garrett Green and Nico Marchiol are able to, like, you know, one of them emerges or both of them, you know, however they come about being, like, way better and winning games and all that, it's just it's hard to see right now because they do have they start off, it's brutal. They play all 4 of the new schools, but, like, those aren't gimme wins necessarily. You still play Oklahoma. I mean, it's going to be tough for them to find those 6 wins, I think. But yeah, he's definitely at a crossroads this year. There's no question. It's got to be a weird spot to be in, but that's part of the job.
Number 1, this should be obvious. Jimbo Fisher.
Your father is right now going to have a conversation with you from the big high sky.
No, I can tell you exactly what he would think about Jimbo Fisher right now.
Yeah.
He'd be at the front of the line. Yeah. And
so this is honeymoon over, right?
Yeah, this is honeymoon over.
No, I agree with that.
Not like he's going to be fired or anything. Yeah.
What about? Okay, go ahead.
This is where you need to do some intensive therapy and see if this is something you can go forward, because that's what he's trying to do. In a strange way, by bringing in Bobby Petrino and giving up play calling duties. I still wonder if they have a couple of bad games or things go on that he doesn't like, or
somebody that A&M's got they got heavy pockets, even enough that's heavy enough to handle that. Why? The question is no.
I think the Jimbo stuff too. I wonder. I mean, we got to go here, but I wonder how much of it's like. It's outside pressure too. It's like, it's not even from inside College Station, I feel like, a lot of the time. It's your Texas fans or just the national media, or, you know, and I don't want to single out Texas, but that is, you know, a lot of it too, that are just stoking that flame, man, you know, constantly. But I know there are some that are fed up and don't feel like he's reached what they should reach. But yeah, I'm very curious about that contract and just the rope and the hires that he made and how long. Yeah, it's just it's interesting.
And if it doesn't work out for him, the buyout can still be something they negotiate so he can go coach somewhere else. I don't know if he wants to do that anymore.
But I do think that West Virginia would be a possibility for him because that's where he's from.
Good question. Yeah, good.
But I do think that there is some up the ladder anger above Jimbo as well.
What about Matt Campbell not being listed?
I don't think Matt Campbell's honeymoon period's over. They love him.
Dana Holgorsen.
Absolutely not. Matt Campbell's he doesn't have a lifetime deal, but he's in no danger of being honeymoon over.
He's the best coach they've had in 30 years. No, they're not going to be mad about him at all. No Kirk Ferentz, because I don't think I think he's he's at grandpa status there. They might be frustrated, but Iowa fans have accepted that he's just going to retire when he wants to.
All right. Thank you very much. We went extra, but it was worth it. Thanks to everybody. What a great